Okay, so this is what we had done so far in the HTML and Bootstrap page. What we have done is what you are seeing now on the screen. Now, where comes the JavaScript? So, CSS is for styling the pages, Bootstrap is for making it responsive styling, and then HTML is for the browsers and understand the language of HTML. So, we have to use HTML to load a website, to bring a website. Now, the question here is why we need to have JavaScript. Any idea? Any one of you know about JavaScript? Why we need JavaScript?
So, for implementing the functionalities of the web page.
Implementing the functionalities of web page, it is half correct.
And also for validation purpose we are using.
Yeah, validation, client-side validation is one of the feature which JavaScript can implement. Okay.
For better response.
For better response, okay.
Hello.
Yeah, Aditya, please go ahead.
JavaScript is mainly used to establish a communication between server and the front end of the application or a website.
No, 100% wrong.
So it's the behavior of the website, how it communicates with the user interface and the HTML file, something.
Yeah, somewhat correct, but it is not meant for server communication. JavaScript is not meant for server communication. JavaScript is working only on the client side, not at the server side. You need to understand what is client and server first. There only this will be relevant. Not relevant, this will be making sense to you. You need to understand the server and client, what it is, because we haven't started the server coding so far, so you might not be understanding what I'm coming to say. But here JavaScript makes your HTML something like actionable, not actionable. When I say actionable, it is something like when you click on a button, you want to see something, you want to do some actions on the page, or you want to show something to the user only at the client place, not from the server side, only at the client place. Or if you want to do something kind of an animations, you need JavaScript, because an HTML alone cannot do the animations, because animations works on position, colors, that means the style, then the size. So all these things are actually required to change frequently to animate an object or animate a element in the UI. Okay, so when it comes to server side is when you use something called Ajax, somebody call it as Ajax, someone call it as Ajax. So it's anyway asynchronous JavaScript XML. Asynchronous JavaScript and XML is Ajax. So when you use Ajax, you are getting some data from server side and refreshing your UI. Without reloading the entire page. That is what Ajax comes in. So when you use Ajax, that time the JavaScript actually communicates with your server side. So that is one possibility with JavaScript, but that is not the major functionality of, or the main functionality of a JavaScript. Say for example, when you are typing something in an inbox, not in text input, which is actually expecting an email ID, whereas you are not giving an email ID, some numbers you are just typing and then going to the next element. Then that time there should be a validation. This input box need to be validated against an email, if the content or if the data which is entered by a user is an email or not. If it is not an email, they should give an alert. Okay, so that is where actually JavaScript belongs to. And what is jQuery? jQuery is one of the JavaScript library. There are n number of JavaScript libraries available, but jQuery is one of the major JavaScript library, which is simplifying a lot of the common jobs, like when we click something should happen, or when we mouse over something should happen. So these kind of things are actually written in JavaScript. It is too many lines of code you have to write, whereas jQuery handles it in a nice way because the library already have the code, you just need to reuse it. First, let us see some sample JavaScript code and how does it work. Let's see that. Okay, so it's so simple that writing a JavaScript code in between two tags, HTML tags called script. So hope all of you can view my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this page we have written in the last session. So you can see this is my code. This has all the data which we had entered. Okay, so now let me just show when I load this page. Let me just open the Firefox Developer Edition so that we can switch between things. Okay, so this is my page. So when I open this page, I just want to give an alert. Say this page is getting open. That kind of an alert I want to give. So simply what I need to do is I need to go here. Is my font readable to all of you who are all watching from mobile? Is it clear to you guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, fine, because I'm just zooming in to make sure that you guys are seeing it. Okay, so the code here which I'm going to write is script, and you need to have a closing script tag. Okay, so in between this script tag you just give an alert. Hi, I am your first script. Okay, so that is what I wrote. What it is going to give me is I just saved it. I'm just reloading the page. What you see is the content in the behind the scene, the content will be loading, and you see an alert like, hi, I am your first script. Okay, so that's it. That means your script is running. Let me open it in a new tab. You saw the content has loaded and then the JavaScript has loaded at the end. Now let me move this JavaScript block to the top. Okay, I'm just moving this JavaScript block above the body at this place. Okay, say now if I load the page, you see behind the alert there is no content loaded, because it is the HTML is executing sequentially and the JavaScript executed first. When you click on this OK, then only this code is going to load the rest of the data. Okay, okay. Now that brings us a point that when you load any JavaScript into your HTML page, it is supposed to be at the end of the body or after the body tag, because there is a high possibility that scripts can break because that contains some logic. The logic can break, or some data might not be present, some variables may go wrong, and that's the reason the script may fail. Okay, and when the script fails, say for example this script, I'm just putting it like this. So this script is going to fail. Ultimately what is going to happen, the page content is not going to load after that. Okay, this case it is loading because it is very minimal things, but it is something like when you want to include some JavaScript files which is not functioning, and using that JavaScript data you are supposed to do some actions, then it will break. In this case it works because it is a simple alert functionality. Okay, so you don't need to have a function to write your JavaScript code. You can straight away, say for example, you can write like this. Say this is a variable var a equal to say 5, and then you can give something like var b equal to 10. Then we are going with var c equal to a plus b. Now we are alerting, say this way, a, then no, not this way, sorry, this should be a plus, someone is waiting there, a plus b plus equal to plus c. Okay, so let me just accommodate the other person who joined. Okay, ML, okay, fine. Where I was writing. Okay, so this is the code which I wrote. See, what I'm expecting from this code is I will be seeing the result like 5 plus 10 equal to 15 is what I'm expecting in my UI. Your script, then 5 plus 10 equal to 15 came. So now if I change the value of b to 15, it is going to update the data. So first script sequentially it is executing 5 plus 15 equal to 20. So the concatenation you can use plus. For hard coded strings you can use the quotes, double quotes or single quotes will work, and then plus c you can do this. Okay, so now this is what the JavaScript code looks like. You can write this. However, there is a better way to do all these things. You want to type something in the data, and then you want to read it, you want to print something. It is better to write coding in the format of functions. Okay, JavaScript simply allows you to write functions. I'm just cutting this. Most of the time I write code below the body tag for JavaScript. Some people I have seen they write inside the body tag as well, but my preferences is here, and let's see whether it works or not. Whenever you guys are writing a code, format it properly. Don't format it at the end. While writing itself, you keep the format. If you don't follow the format and finally you are trying to make it format, there is a lot of issues possibly going to happen. The reason we follow a formatting, keeping a alignment properly for an HTML code or JavaScript code or whatever we write, you would have been observed how I write. Whenever I copy paste a code, I check for the alignments, the coding alignments. It will help me to decide where my code is going wrong. If there is a problem, I need to I can easily understand where the code is actually getting into trouble, and I can easily figure it out. So debugging purpose, it will be easy for me. So now I formatted this code, this script tag I formatted, and now I'm trying to run. After my body content loads, this execution happens, and that code works fine. Now let me just move this sum functionality to a function. How I will write a function in JavaScript is, it is one way to write function, say add. Okay, now I'm just giving this here, moving this entire code here inside the function. Okay, so now this is my add function. Now let us reload and see the page, what happens. Only this script is called, and that script alone worked. My rest of my page content didn't work here, or the rest of the function which I added a new function named add, this function didn't work. Why it didn't work is, a function, when we write a function, you should call that function explicitly. So how you can call the function? You can call this add here. Let's see whether the add function, when I'm calling, just simply you just call this add, that's it. So let's see whether the add function calls and works. Yes, it works. That means the function loaded and then this call works. Now let's call it in a different way. I don't want to call it right away, and I'm going to comment this line as well. Okay, just saving it. I just want to have this drop down. There is a nav bar. Let me just go to the drop down. There is a disabled button. Okay, there is a link. There is a home and nav bar. Okay, let me just get into the search icon, the search button. So if I click on the search, I just want to give an alert. Let us see how I can give that. I need to figure out where is my search button. This is the input search, this is the button. So while I click this, I need to give something called on click. So this is the tracking of on click. You can see a lot of other things like on change, on can play, on once, on mouse over, these kind of things also will be available here. I'm just going to call in the on click, I'm going to call add this function. Okay, now when I reload the page, this doesn't work anything. When I click, you can see that function getting called and the alert came in. Now let us try to read the value from this search input box. This input box, we don't have an ID so far here. I'm going to give an ID, search text. Okay, so the search text is an ID. How you can read is, I'm just going to write my code inside this add functionality. See, this is the command document dot get element by ID. Inside this, you need to give that ID dot, I believe it's a value, and this is going to, this document means it is going to search the entire page. Get element by ID means ID is unique. We know that ID is unique. We want to get the ID with search text, and I want to take the value of that input text. Okay, let me just give that assignment into a variable variable search text equal to this value. Let's alert this value and see whether this search value is there. Okay, let me just give the search text here, semicolon. Now going back to the page, reload this. You need to reload the page because after you're saving you don't know what it is. Now the alert came a blank because I didn't enter any value, and the 5 plus 15 which we have given. Now I'm giving Arun search. You see the Arun is getting here, the value is getting to this place. This search text is getting assigned with the value. I'm changing this to Neonics and just giving the search text, so the values are getting changed. Now as Asima was mentioning, when there is no value available, so there is something like validation. Asima was mentioning about the validation. So if there is no value, we need to warn the user that we are expecting a value here. For that, let us check here. Just like in Java, you can use the if statements here. If, not in like Java, any programming language, most of the time they have the if statement. I don't know any language which doesn't have if, because in every languages when I have been using this if else commands. So now here the if search text. So if search text, then going to alert your search text colon and a plus, and you are going to give the search text. Someone is knocking the door, just wait. Krishnendu. Okay, so giving the search text, or I need to give some warning, else what you are going to give alert is please enter a search text. Okay, just giving search. What happened? It asked me to please enter a search text. Okay, my if works. Then I'm giving search my name. Okay, just giving a search. Say it shows search my name. Now let me just give something addition to this. As I don't want to see there is say for example, I don't want to give this in an alert format, because I want to give something in a text area or some text format or in a label. I want to show that this validation has failed. Say what I am going to do here is just near to this place I am going to give a label. It's a label. This is a label tag, and I'm going to give a we have font color, right? So class text danger. So the text danger, which will come from our bootstrap. So it will be in red, and I'm just going to give an ID here. This label has an ID like error message. Okay, so error message, I'm taking this error message, see, at this place I'm commenting this, giving something like document dot not document dot ready. I just went to the jQuery, sorry for that. Document dot get element by ID. I need to cut this. Dot HTML equal to this field is required. Okay, so that's it. That means I'm trying to get this, I think it is not HTML, it is inner HTML. I forgot that command. Let me just Google it. Means the spelling is what I forgot. Inner HTML JavaScript. It is inner HTML in capital, uppercase letters, all this in uppercase letters. So first it is going to select the document element which has the ID error and hyphen message, and then it is going to take this dot field is required, and this data is going to be printed in that box. But if it has the search text, I don't want to means I want to empty that. So I'm giving an empty data if it is a search text as a value. Going back, reload, search. Let's say search my name because it is not reloaded completely. So Control Shift R, search. You see this error message. This field is required. That error message printed just beside the search box. If I give a try, excuse me. Now that error message has gone. Hope you guys understand what a JavaScript can do in simple words. Any doubts or clarifications here? I'm just going to stop presenting for a while, and if you have any questions you can ask. No questions? Is it clear?
Sir,
Yes, sir,
about the alert, when we, hello?
Yes, go ahead.
So when we, if we want to, when we create an application form and in that text box when someone is entering something, okay. If for example, if it is an ID number, then if it is like in our project, we have to ask the user to give the ID number, right? It is bus management system. In that,
Which ID number?
ID proof number.
Yeah, okay.
So for different ID proof, the length of the number is different. Like for example, in phone number there will be 10 digits. So if it is not 10 digit, we have to give an alert. Can you show that one? Something similar to that. How we can alert?
I didn't get you. Actually, do you want to verify it as a phone number or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I would rather ask you not to go with the JavaScript immediately for that kind of validation, because your HTML have that feature. Like when you give the text the type as telephone, and you can bring that what we call the max digits and min digits, that you can bring in the HTML itself. Say let me try, but I don't try all these things in freehand. because I most of the time I just Google it and fetch the code. Let me just see whether it is going to allow something. So this is my search input box. The type is search is what it is mentioned here. If I am giving something like TEL, I think that is what it is. It is going to give the telephone number. Then it is max length. The max length is going to be 10. Okay. So this is what I have done now. Let's try with this. Am I sharing my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So now let me just try with the text. It is allowing text. Say 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it is. See, I'm unable to type beyond 10.
Okay.
Okay. So this kind of ready-made features are available with HTML itself. And we are going to learn jQuery now, right? And in jQuery, you will get a lot of validator plugins, the form validator plugins. So
okay.
most of the time, what I use is I don't waste my time in writing all those code. I use that plugin in my code. I use that library, which is already proven, tested by a lot of people. And it is the community version. It is most of the time it is going to be a free version. You can even pay and get the best codes out of it, and you can even download some code and fork it for your own purpose. You can fork it from what we call the GitHub. There are many open source code available. You can just take that code and figure out how you do it in your project. That's it. So we will not write all the validations nowadays, because the reason here is for a long time we know that there is validations. These are the common validations, like the email validation, or something like a number validation, or something like a name field is empty. So these are some sort of validations which is using commonly. In that case, it is not fair that everyone writing the same code on their own way each time and each and every time. So what these open source world or any tech world does is these common things they will bring it in a library format, and they will be making use of it. So the one of this HTML4 you were using, you don't have these kind of the max length, min length features. I'm not sure about that, but in HTML5 there are the inbuilt validations available. If you are even this kind of a field value, you will get something called required. Yeah, so you see the required one. So if you give this required, without this value the form will not be submitted. But whether you want to show a message or not, you can use that.
Okay, sir.
Got it. So this is what my suggestion. For learning purpose, you write all the code on means by hand. Learn it, then drop it, then leave it. Don't use that code, or make it as a library and provide it to everyone who uses in the open source world. Say for example, if you I'm not sharing my screen. Let me just share again. I'm just going to show you Validator jQuery plugin. Okay, so this is jQuery form validation with jQuery. So if you take this, this is a free version. You can get the demo here, and they have their documentation as well. So if you go this, submit this, you see all this validation has done. Now in this email box, I'm typing something and going out, it is showing the please enter a valid email address. So these kind of validations for email, URL and phone numbers is available in the market, which you can utilize for free. You don't need to write the code each and every time when you use the applications. So that is where I always say, be smart when you want to develop something. Don't work hard. Okay, don't work hard to write each and every code. To learn this, you can understand. Even at this time, why I am teaching the basic of JavaScript rather than going with directly with jQuery is that one reason I want you guys to know what it looks like in the normal JavaScript and how jQuery converts that into their style. So what is the advantage of having a jQuery in place? So that is what I wanted to show you. Okay. Vishnu, you were okay. Vishnu, you were coming to ask some question.
No, sir. I said that it's clear.
Oh, it's clear.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, fine. Anybody else have a question? Latecomers in this classroom. Did you guys able to follow, or do I need to explain it once again?
No, sir, it's fine.
It's fine. Okay. Okay, fine. So let me just continue. Okay, thank you. Okay, good. I'm happy to hear that. So let me just show you one more way to write a function in the format of variables. Say rather than giving this in a function format, you can assign this to something like var my function equal to this add. So what will happen when you want to call this add function, you can just call this my function. See, that is a common JavaScript methodology people use, but anyway, personally I don't like it. So now you okay. Now this when I gave that this is for Swati. Swati, are you seeing this error message here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is that when I gave that required in that field, it is automatically coming with that fill out this field. This we did nothing for this. This is just for seeing the that HTML5 itself providing this feature.
Okay.
So now I just typed it. I don't think it is not working. I think this got some problem. Oh, sorry, it is function here. Okay, now my function is going to work. Yeah, see, how I did this is I just declared this my function as a variable and then assigned this function to this variable my function. So that is one more tip which I wanted to share you guys. And you have seen there is a simple keyword called function and the function name, then round brackets. You will be able to get your function ready, a JavaScript function, and it is must have script tag. It should be writing in between the script tags, then only it is going to work. Now let me go to the JavaScript to jQuery section. Okay, I'm just cutting all these JavaScript codes which is in the header part. See, here also it is the script tag. Using this script tag we are bringing the jQuery. So here the version of jQuery is 3.5.1. you can go to jquery.org. I think that is the site. jQuery. So download. So yeah, it is the jquery.com. Okay, so from jquery.com you can download the version of the file you want. You can install it in your local. Install it in your local in the sense you can copy the file and then make use of that file when you want to use it. Okay, so there are a lot of different versions and compressed and development each versions available. You can make use of this. So here I have included my jQuery in the page. Now let me just give some. I'm just going to remove this and see the page, what happens to the page, because most of the time I don't need that JavaScript with the bootstrap. It's okay, I don't need that JS files. I just need the jQuery file. I'm just cutting this as well, and let's reload the page and see your tags. Okay, fine. So that's working. Now I just include my jQuery file in this code. Now how I'm going to write a jQuery thing is, jQuery works only after a document. A document in the sense your HTML content is completely loaded onto your page, your browser. Then only jQuery is going to work. And when jQuery works, you need to have something like document.ready. Okay, so behalf of giving the document.ready, after jQuery loads you can call any jQuery commands. Okay, so I think let us start with the document.ready for a fair understanding, and let's see what happens with our code when I write script. See, earlier this script tag used to have this type equal to something like text or JavaScript, something like that. So that we don't need nowadays, because most of the modern browsers understand script is going to be JavaScript. There is no other script going to be inside this HTML content. Here you need to remember jQuery works on a symbol called $. This $, when you use $, that means it is going to be, the next code is going to be read by jQuery. Then document, the $ in round brackets document. That means once your document, you are actually mentioning the document, that is the entire DOM elements are actually coming under the document. So $document, then what do you give? .ready. That means your document is ready. When your HTML DOM is ready, loaded completely to the browser, then you can execute some function. So you need to write the function, open brace and close brace. You remember, inside the ready function round brackets, you are passing this function called a function. Some functionalities, that does it mean. That's all it means. Okay, now once the document is ready, we are going to give the alert, hello, I am ready. Okay, let's reload the page and see what happens. That means hello, I am ready alerted. That means our page has jQuery enabled. Now let me just remove this part, that where I included the jQuery. I remove that, saved it, reload the page. You can see our alert doesn't work. Now let's inspect the element, go to the console, you see there is an uncaught error, reference error, dollar is not defined. That means the dollar is unreadable if your jQuery is not present in your web page. Bringing it back, reload the page. Now the alert came. Okay. Okay. Anyone have any questions at this stage? Please use your comment box effectively. No, 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 or yes, yes, yes. No, sir. Okay. Fine. Fine, fine. Good. Okay. Now I'm going to present it back. Let's learn more into the jQuery segment. Now I am presenting my screen. All are able to see my screen, right? Okay, that means the document.ready function is able to bring some data. Now jQuery works based on CSS elements. CSS not elements, CSS selectors. That means however CSS works, elements doesn't have any symbols. We just mention the element name and write it. That is element. One example is the document. We just write the element. We just don't use the element name. Just write document. And another one, like we can use something like h1 body. So these tags we have seen. But when it comes to a classification like class, we use dot to select classes. When it is an ID, we use hash in CSS. The same way we use hash and dot or the element selectors in the jQuery as well. Okay, let me get back with this click on click function. I'm just changing this on click function. Okay, I'm just going to take the btn as the class. Inside this function, I'm going to initialize if there is a click happen to any class which has a btn. Okay, how I will do that is I need to use dollar inside double quotes dot the btn. Anywhere a btn class dot, I can just use this click. That means in case the btn is clicked, what I will write? A function, then open brace and close brace, enter here, alert a button click detected. Okay, going back to my page. Where is my page? Oops. Okay, fine, I got this. Now you know that my function call is not there. When I click this, it says a button click detected. Okay, that doesn't fulfills our class requirement. What I am going to do is let me just remove a lot of content from this page. So I'm removing, I'm just going to copy this button. I just created a lot of buttons. Everything has search. Okay, so any button you click, this result is going to come. Now let us change this button tag. I'm removing the btn. The first btn class is removed from the first button. That is, I believe this is that button. Just reload. Yeah, so that class is gone. Now if I click this button, What happened? Nothing happens, but this still works. That's the power of a class. Okay, now let's change this to an ID. Say ID my button. I'm writing another statement, dollar, double quotes. I use hash for ID, my button, dot click. Inside this function, round brackets, brace, open close, enter, alert, my button clicked. Okay, so now saved it, reload it. This is my button. When I click this, a button click detected. Also my button clicked also came. When I click this, only a button click detected, that is alone coming here. Okay, see, it doesn't bring the second command. Now let us try to give that ID to multiple buttons. Where is my ID? Here is my ID. Give this button also that ID. So every other button I have given the ID. Let's see whether it works or not. You see, only a button click detected is coming. When you click this, the my button click also coming, the alert, the second alert also coming. That means from the page, once the document is ready, jQuery analyzes for all the IDs, which is ID. Whenever it sees the first ID, it takes that, and the next ID it won't take. But when it comes to a class, it takes every classes. Is that clear? Yes or no? I need to check back. Are you guys hearing me? Some delays there? Okay, fine. Oh, good, got it. Thank you very much for your support. Now this button command and click is one way to write. There is another way you can write is, I just commented that you can use dollar inside the chords dot btn and dot on. Okay, so this is the recommended way or the latest model, btn on. Inside that, what is the functionality? That is the first parameter, click. Then we can give function. So this means it will check for any classes, any button classes which has click. Then this is going to execute this particular functionality. So alert on click. Going back to the page, I have given btn dot on click. On click is working. Here it is working. Any btn tag, it is working. Now let me just go back and give this a home. right? This home, I'm giving a class btn here. That means the home which is displaying here, this home is going to become a button now. So this has a btn tag. When I click that also, this alert is coming. Okay, so that is on. Now this is binding closely between a particular class. Now we can bind the entire document and then search for the classes where is appended. Say for example, I'm not going to give the entire document, but I'm going to give the body, on click, and inside this I'm giving .btn. That means when I click on this btn class, wherever the btn class is available, then this will be on click of body btn, then this will be executing. Okay, so this is how I am giving. To confirm it, if I click on home, didn't work, maybe body tag have to be inside this, otherwise I have to give document. Yes, so the document is an object whereas body is an element. Now this works, this works, this works, right? So this searches how does it work is, this searches the entire body of the body element, whatever the elements which has a tag, a class, button, and whatever that classes which is having a click functionality happens, then it is going to execute this function. Now you can give something like mouse over. What will happen when you mouse over, the alert will come. You don't need to click. Okay. So that's your jQuery basics. Feel free to ask some questions, because I will get tired continuously speaking to you guys. So you know, just give some questions. No questions? Unmute and ask questions if someone is asking questions. Swati, no questions. Is jQuery that much simple? You guys felt it is so simple to develop in jQuery? I'm happy to hear that. Okay. So we have learned about jQuery selectors and different ways of binding. Now the next thing which I need to see is a jQuery, what we call the jQuery Ajax. So let's see when I want to load some data, maybe some free a RESTful APIs. Do you guys know what is a RESTful API? What is API? Anybody knows here? API, Application Programming Interface. No? Good. No? Again no? Okay. Okay, APIs are something like just heard the term only. Okay, fine. Okay, so here is what API is, Application Program Interface. It comes in different formats, different ways. Nowadays it is mostly in RESTful format. RESTful websites are RESTful web services. Those are something like an online service which is available, and you can just hit the service and get the data and make use of that data into your web application or web services or wherever it is, your applications. Okay, Some APIs we call it as they comes as part of library, and then we use inside that library itself we use that API. So am I sharing my screen? Okay, let me just give my give it a try for Google API for map. So you need to have an API key for accessing this. These are Google Maps basics. This is maps. I don't need a map. See free test REST APIs. Okay, I think these are some fake APIs. You can just use it for some placeholder. Okay, say for example this code, if you load this, you will get user ID 1, ID 1 and a title and a task completed false. So this is something which is for a to do. Okay, so the to do's is what it is trying. Let me just remove this one and try. Okay, so now you get this many user data. This is a format of JSON format. Are you guys able to see this? Someone need to unmute and speak because I am not in the chat window now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you don't know about JSON also, right? XML, you know about XML?
We've heard about it, sir.
Just heard the terms, sir.
Correct. XML is also like HTML. Like HTML in the sense it's a format like HTML. It will have an open tag and close tag, and then will be mentioning. So for example, I'm just closing the other things. The to do's is what I'm going to use. This is fair for me. Now, say for example, JSON, XML, HTML. So, say for example, it is an XML. I will be giving something like name, and in between a name. Then here, in between the name, I will be mentioning Arun. Then it is going to be a job, software developer. Then what else? Place, Kerala. Okay, so this would be a details of Arun, like employee details, okay. Now if you change this language to X, where is X? XML. Okay, you can see this as a formatted data, because this is a formatted data in the format of XML. You can have a lot of nested elements as well. Say for example, behalf of giving this place, you can give address. So inside this you can give maybe city, then I'll close the city, then I'm going to write something like pin code. So I gave it like PI code. That is better to give zip code. Zip code. So in between the zip code also I will be mentioning. So this way you can mention a XML. Why this XML format is required is, in most of the software programming have a library which will parse the XML, which can parse the XML and then extract the data. So that is one way to store. The same example, we go with JSON, which is called JavaScript Object Notation. That is what JSON. So the JSON have something like flexibility in designing the data. You can bring any kind of object data here. Say for example this, let me just keep this. The same data I am going to convert it into JSON. How does it going to look like is, I will be creating a object which will be opening brace and closing brace. Inside that I am going to have employee details, then a colon. That means this first one is going to be my key and the next part is going to be my value. So the key value pair I am going to give. See, the value is going to be another object portion. It is again going to be a key value pair, like the name colon, I'll be having the name value Arun, then comma, job colon, this software developer, then again comma, my address. So address, you can see the address is going to be again another object, the address which is coming here, then you make it like city colon Thiruvananthapuram, comma, the zip code colon some value. Okay, so this is an object notation. This is a JavaScript object notation, that is JSON object, whereas this one is an XML part. This is why these things are using is, this is just for representing the data. Okay, here in this portion what we are seeing here is, we are seeing a data which is for to do tasks. This is for a something like what we call it as, we just called this website just for getting the mock data. Okay, now let us try with the jQuery part with the Ajax call, how we can bring this data to our website, our web page. Okay, I'm just moving back to here. Let me just give, there is jQuery have a lot of different features like $.get, $JSON, $.Ajax, and then customize your own. Here I am going to write, I'm just going to comment this also, because I don't want to keep some unnecessary codes and confuse. So here I'm just going to give something like dollar, I think it is $.get. Let me just go to the jQuery website itself. Just now search. So jQuery Ajax, it's better to get from the W3 scores because they will have a lot of different functions. Yeah. Yeah, this one is what, jQuery dot get. This is the one which we are going to use. So let me just give you another tip. Rather than giving this alert here, I am going to give something like console.log. So whoever already worked with JavaScript, they will be using this console.log for debugging purpose rather than giving alert. So I just going to give console.log what is the data. Okay, so some data which is coming, say it's going to be data comma data. Okay, behalf of this test.asp, I am going to give this to dos. Okay, so I just gave this URL which works on a get methodology, get method. So the get data and status. The status I am not going to print right now. Let's try what happens when we load our page. I need to keep the console open for getting this console loaded. You see there is a, are you able to see there is a data array came with some 200 data in it. Can see this data has been fetched. You guys are able to see this, right? So this data we brought to our page. Now if I want to print this data on this page, how can I do that? I'm just going to make these buttons removed. Then what I'm going to do is div class container okay. So I'm just going to give one more div class, not div id, JSON content. Okay. After this, I'm going to give dollar inside this chord. I'll give use hash dot HTML, or I can use text as well. I'm just going to give data. I'm just trying to bring that element data. The data came here. Let me just check what my element happened. What happened to my element? The container is here. Oh, the div element didn't load the content. Why? Okay. So see this is as it is in a JSON, it is in a object format, and that object is getting printed. So it is an object array. As we saw, it is an object array. What we can do is we can give this data with a for each array, or something like say dollar data dot for each. Let's see, it as a value. I forgot that command. jQuery for each syntax. Okay, it is not for each, it is each. So you have, this is actually the jQuery documentation, whereas you will be seeing how does this works. Okay, so in the each, okay, this is how it is. So the function, index and value. So you don't need to give that function. Basically you can give this value as well. Give the function, the value, and round brackets, open and close braces. Okay, I don't want to log this console here. I'll give this console dot log so value. Okay, so the value will be displayed as object like that, or the data. Let's see how does it going to print. Come on, I made a mistake. It is each. Even after I looked into the code, I made the mistake. So reload. Now you can see the value is printing like 0, 1, 2, 3. This is the data which is going to print, right? So let me just take the index and value both, and let us try to print. I believe this is index is what which is getting printed here. So the console.log, I will give a plus here and a comma here, and this place I'm going to give index. So now I'm going to get the index and value both printed. So the 194 is an index, which is actually an object. Now I got the object. Now inside this object, what is the value I need to know? There is a possible way. You gave something like this. Now this value also I will be able to understand. Index, I'm going to give this. Okay. So this is how I develop. I look into each and every step of my code, and I try to understand what it is. The object is not printing properly because this index and plus button is there. So now if you look at this, I can see the value of the object. That means the object has a user ID, then a title, then it is completed is true or false. Okay, the task which is completed or not completed. Okay, now let me just give value dot title. What is going to happen now? Only the titles are going to display. You see, the console is printing the titles. Now what I am going to do here is this JSON content. I'm not printing the type here. Dot append. I'm going to give a BR tag embedded, that is a break tag, plus value dot title. So what's going to happen after my page loaded? After my page loaded, the titles are going to come into this page. Saw this? So all the titles came here. Now as I mentioned, I need to bring this into some format, and I need to display my to do tasks. For that, my preference is to go with a card view with the bootstrap. So I simply Google bootstrap card view. So this is Bootstrap documentation where you can get this kind of a card. So this has a card title and card view. So this is the card view. So first let me just try to see this JSON content has a card view, whether it is getting a style or not. So anyway, I don't have an image, but still I'm trying to keep this data. Let's try to bring this card title, reload the page. Yes, at the top of the page I got one card. Okay, so go somewhere, blah blah blah, things are there. Okay, now this card view which I'm going to append. So how I will append it, this is I just go and create a variable here. To this place I need to come here and I'll create a variable card block, and I need to bring my entire code here. You need to use proper escape characters, otherwise it is going to break. So this is my div, this place plus plus, and I need to have the single quote opened here. What I will do, I'll do like this. At this place I need to put a semicolon. Oh no, that is correct. Div ends here. Okay, and this place quote, single quote. I don't need a single quote here, but here I need one. So just a second, hold on. Okay, so my intention is to bring this code into a proper format. I think there is some glitch happens. Okay, this cards. Okay, there is an apostrophe which creates a problem. So if you use proper escape characters, you can bring this code block. Now this is an HTML code block which I brought. Now what I want to give is this card title. I want to give this is something like task. Okay, and this place. Okay, I think the value dot title is better there. So then the value dot title, I will put two single quotes in between and give the plus and give this. Now the value dot title is going to come there. Then what else I have in the object? I forgot what else I have in the object. Need to change this to value. With the value, I'm going to understand what is the data here. It's just going to be completed is true, then some data, an ID, title, and user ID. Only the user ID is available there. User information is not there. Okay, fine. So the title we can use as part of the card body here. This place we can give value dot. It is case sensitive. You need to use exactly the same name what you are seeing here. There is one is user ID and other one is ID. So what I will give here is value dot ID. I will give here. This is for the value. One more p tag I am going to give. Value dot user uppercase ID. Now this is, I'm going to give this as a button which is green or read based on its task status. Whether it is true, then I will give completed is true, then I'll give a green button. Otherwise, I'm going to give a what we call the red button. So how I can do that is first I need to get if value dot status completed, right? Value dot completed equal to true. Then I'm going to give that this code status, changing this to button. This anchor tag also I'm changing to button. I don't need an ahref. Plus, okay, here I'm going to give a variable status. So here my I will consider that variable declaring here as status. Initially, I'm going to give this as pending. It's pending. It's a pending status. If it is true, the status is going to be completed. And this button primary it is given. So I'm going to use the variable for button also, var button var equal to btn success, which is nothing but the bootstrap success button. No, it is danger. Here it is danger, and if it is completed is equal to true, then I'm going to give it as button success. Copy this button primary, change this button primary. In between, you give the single quotes, enter. Then button success, not the button success. You have to give the button variable. Okay. Now this is the card block you get. What you are going to do is you are going to append the card block into the content. Okay. So let's see what happens. So there is everything pending coming because our true value is not actually getting validated as a Boolean or something. So value dot completed equal to true. Why it is not true? So what I try to do is I'll try to print these values and see what does it bring. Okay. Maybe I need to give this so that it is going to work. Let's see. Yeah, yes, now it is working. So the reason, because when I didn't use this double quotes, this value dot completed is not exactly coming as a string. Now this true and this value dot completed comes as proper string variable. So this buttons are getting completed and this is getting pending, and the value status completed is properly printing here. So this is the way you can bring the card elements to your page. So what I did is, first I tried to display the card element and see how does it going to bring in my page. Now there is one more part which I can add here is, see, I'm going to append in this ID, right? So why don't I give this class as a row, and inside this I can give something like div class column MD4, and I possibly need to close that. Not possibly, I should close that div. So what I try to do is, I want to display this properly rather than displaying in this sequentially towards downwards. So I just want to display it in a proper manner. Now you can see this has displayed in one row. I got 3 cards printed. Now I'll give a one more message like M2, that is 2 points of margin I'm giving. So it is going to, okay, 2 point is 2, MB2, that is bottom 2, and MT2. I don't want the right and left side to go wrong. Okay. Now this place, you can see the gap also properly aligned, and this page completely loaded with all the task details. Okay. Now I don't want this happen on the page load, because you don't understand why I'm saying this Ajax call is actually bringing the data, actually bringing the data without reloading the page. You want to see that in action, then you should not give this dot get function directly inside this, because we can give the, when a button click happens, we can bring this data. So how we do is, I need to give a button here. I'm going to give a button. Here I'm going to mention load my tasks. Okay, so this tasks I'm supposed to load. I should not duplicate the button ID. Giving ID equal to load tasks. Okay, so this load tasks, what should I do? The $# dot, we will give is on. There's some color change, I don't know why. Function okay. So now inside this function on load tasks on click, you can call this entire block. Okay. Yeah, fine. Now, when I load my page, the data won't load. Now you can see the data is stuck. There is nothing loaded. If I click on load my tasks, you can see my task. The page is not reloaded. It is not traversed to any other places. All rest of the content in the page stays calm and cool, and you're loading the entire data into your content box. Okay, so this is what actually Ajax can do, and this is how jQuery can help you. So there are different methodologies like you can get as JSON, you can do with the parts JSON, you can get a script, you can get parameter, you can use post. There are a lot of Ajax things you need to learn. So this is just to get the data. Let us try to bring something differently than this. Let me just remove all this and I will comment this data. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to get behalf of this to do. What I'm trying to get is okay. I'm just going to load our own website. So this website neonix.com. Let me just see just in the console. It might be a bit slow when I try to load this. Console is trying. Okay, it's cross-platform error will be there because see this is most frequently you are going to receive this kind of an error because you are not supposed to load some other data from some other sites. Let's try google.com because the domain will have issues. The domains will give you troubles. Yeah, okay, this course is blocked. Okay, we are not supposed to load it like that. Okay, so if you are trying something from the same domain or if your server allows, see here this server allows all requests. Okay, that is why you are able to access from your local file to this domain name. Otherwise you need to call, you are only allowed to call the Ajax calls or the scripts or websites only from where your own domain name. On domain name, so from example.com, you can call example.com. You cannot call abc.com from example.com. Otherwise, both the websites should be, allowing that properly. There is a lot of server settings for doing that things. I feel like I need to stop it at this time because it's been almost 2 hours. You can ask me questions and I'm happy to answer. Hope this was giving you much more idea about the jQuery and JavaScript in this session. You can unmute and speak. Any doubts, any questions will be answered here.